Peace, power, and prosperity, y'all. Rob Black Storm, walking down 125th. I'll show y'all in a minute. Take the focus off of me. If you're new here, smash that like button, abuse the like button. We just want to talk real quick about the current vibration that we're in. As you guys know, I am a spiritual, esoteric alchemist who deals with signs, symbols, and ancient African spiritual technology in order to achieve personal spiritual development, right? What the goal really is, amongst everything, as a God body, as a spiritual being, the main goal is to be at peace in the face of chaos. The main goal is to be one with your soul. Now, what does one with your soul really mean? Being one with your soul is, we'll take a little detour. I'm gonna show y'all Nation of Gods, the Earth's building out here. But to be one with your soul, what that means is you are in tune with the paranormal part of yourself. What is the paranormal part of yourself? The paranormal part of yourself is the parasympathetic nervous system. Rob, what's the parasympathetic nervous system? That is your rest and digest function. How do I explain that practically? Well, the rest and digest function is pretty much the function of the body that causes you to go to sleep. When you're falling asleep, you're drifting off. What's happening is your rest and digest function is kicking in, the parasympathetic. And also, the vagus nerve is being activated. The vagus nerve is a nerve that runs from the bottom, the root chakra, really, let's just say, for the sake of argument, up the chakra system, for the root to the crown, right? It's a big nerve in your body called the vagus nerve. And that nerve is the key to your enlightenment. That nerve is the key to your spiritual power. Activating that nerve is the key to all sorts of intuitive, psychic, and other forms of paranormal abilities, right? Seership, if you will. Now, the goal is not to be the most knowledgeable person in the world. The goal is not to be a walking Wikipedia. The goal is not to be someone who is up under someone's spiritual system for the rest of their life. Whether that be Christianity, whether that be your favorite influencer, whether that be a Muslim, whether that be with a Babalawo, whether that be with a priest, whether that be with anything. The goal is not to be under any sort of spiritual system, aka a religion, where you're under a person. The goal is for you to learn from that spiritual system and then evolve into your own person and actually use the system to your benefit as long as it works. But you should also add your unique flair to that system, because whoever created that system, it came to them for them and it worked for them, so they chose to share the system. But if you don't tap in to who you truly are, then you will always be up under somebody. You will always be a follower. You will always be searching from YouTube to YouTube to YouTube to YouTube, from book to book to book, from religion to religion to religion, to find the part of self that's enlightened. So this is the Law School Academy in Mecca for the nation of gods and earth, 5% nation. The mathematics up there, 222 plus 1 adds up to 7, right? 7 is the God number, the number of completion, and that is the universal flag right there. So when you come through, and in order to really become an official nation of gods and earth member, you have to knowledge 120. So you have to know 120 lessons. And back in the days, you had to recite 120 lessons accurately, or literally you would get beat the fuck down, right? Now I'm sure it's different, but there was a time and place where if you didn't know 120 lessons, you would get beat down. But still, even this is a system, right? So you learn from the system, and one of the things that the Father Allah taught Clarence 13 next was you learn from the system, but you move on. Am I right, brother? You elevate. You
Peace,
continue
brother.
to elevate.
Peace. See, I got along.
Peace. Rob Blackstone, what's going on?
Peace, brother.
I'm filming for my YouTube channel, so that's
Yeah,
what I'm talking about.
You look familiar. I was like,
Yeah,
peace.
yeah. So I'm just building, going around, talking about some of the sites, talking about how we need to as people, melanated people, we use systems, but we can't depend on systems, because when we depend on systems, we lose the connection to our souls and our uniqueness, right? And what we come here to become God and to build and destroy on our own, but we come with a unique mission, right? For instance, I don't know what you do, but you might be a master builder, a master constructionist, right? You might be able to craft great things. I may be good at computers, right? Or I might be good at making songs, right? Or I might be good at making socks, right? You might be a great farmer, right? But we all come through with our own unique mission. But a lot of times, if you're stuck in the system, you're still looking for somebody else to guide you on your unique mission. And that mission, that foundation, it's supposed to be a foundation that allows you to keep building your building. Like a tree.
Regardless of what goes on the outside. Like something that you said that really hit home as far as people using systems.
Right.
Like what we're going through right now, worldwide, basically, we got like a reset.
It's going to shade a little.
Okay?
Like we're going to build
reset, or a different way of doing things, or a more advanced way of managing the Earth's population and resources or whatever. That's what, the elites are 10%, they've come to that conclusion.
Right.
It's time for that. It's time for the change. But if the people right now, in particularly in this country, if we're so caught up in like you say, the system, the financial system and everything, like when it switches, which it's switching right now, today, July 4th. Right now, we're in the process of it, especially nowhere more so in the last, say, 5-6 years, like during the pandemic.
Facts.
Changing the money system and all that.
Fact.
Like, if the people can get caught up in that, they're going to be removed further away from self and the truth and who we really are, like you said, as far as the history and the real story of the human families on this planet Earth.
Right.
Because basically, they're moving people into a real, an artificial manufactured way of doing things.
It's robotic.
So, yes.
They're spreading what I call a technovirus.
Yeah, they got different terms for the bio-digital convergence.
What do you call it?
Transhumanism. All these things. Satanism, Luciferianism, they're all the same thing.
They're all the same.
All the same
Artificial.
thing. Right.
Intelligence, all of it.
Right. So, it is key for people to deal with, like how we teach here, man, woman, and child. You know what I'm saying? Sun, moon, and stars. Nas wisdom, understand. Like, everything that we need could be found within ourselves. Within man, woman, come together, child. And here we have life over and continuously. The build continues.
Yeah.
If people who get caught up in this world are gonna get caught up with that where it's an interruption.
Right.
It's an interruption in the natural cycle of things. You know what I mean? And you have a minority of people who want to control the direction where humanity is going.
Right.
And the thing is, it's not new. It's just every so often,
it's a cycle in time.
Right,
we're in a cycle in time.
Right.
Yeah, where we're breaking a new chain, so to speak.
See,
that's how I look at it.
Regardless of what goes on, I don't let myself get removed from who I am. Who I am is the original man. So all history on this planet Earth, you can tap into and you can look and recognize these patterns.
Right.
But if we get caught up in believing in things on face value, just seeing with the 2 eyes instead of the third eye.
Yeah.
you're gonna get caught up.
Yeah.
I mean, look, people will judge things on their 2 eyes. Mind you, light makes up what 0.3% of the electromagnetic spectrum.
Yeah. Of 1% at that.
Yeah, right. It's less
Zero
than
zero
1%.
point. It's 0.00.95, which is nothing
yeah.
of 1%.
So now you say, okay, wait up. So the light ain't all there is, but it's an inkling or a direction of where things can go and what lies beyond.
Right.
But if people aren't they can't even use their own 2 eyes correctly. It doesn't add up. A, B, what? C.
Right.
They B, but they're not born. They don't see anything. That's the majority of people on the planet. That's 85%.
85%. Yeah. Poison animal use dumb, deaf, blind.
Yeah, I mean,
slaves of mental death and power.
We know, like it's like if you're of a certain age, right, and you're from, and particularly you're from the East Coast,
right?
You know, we all have levels of civilization. Now, I know you could. What's your physical degree? You don't mind me asking?
No, I only because it's on video. I really don't tell people.
Okay.
But I'm muted. I'll be 50 in October.
See, now you got me right here.
Yeah.
So about I could tell, you know, we're of a time where that was a little bit, people were a little bit more autonomous.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It wasn't all perfect, but I could see in my little, about going on 50 years, where it's been moved, they've upgraded. Because I'm looking at these babies who's born now, you know, and they have they don't relate to past history. Certain things are going on, so they don't know what's going on now. Even though they might look at the older folks and be like, that's back in the days.
No.
There's a certain percentage of the older folks who know what's up and who give it up.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, and I think it's people of our age, our duty is to keep that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Keep that chain, pass the torch. You know what I'm saying? Brothers in their early 40s, 30s, then to the ones in their 20s.
Yeah.
You know, it's important.
Well, that's what the father did. That's what Clarence 13 did. He came out the temple, you know, came out of the NOI and came to the people and taught the people as they were and where they were.
My father-in-law, he definitely took the teachings that he learned in the mosque, drew them up, and took it further. One of the most poignant things about Allah is that the man taught the people that nobody can reach.
Right.
Nobody can reach.
Right.
And I'm not from that area. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I came as one culture. I came in '94, so like I was standing on the shoulders of giants.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But mind you, these were at the time, these were those bad little kids that nobody wanted to deal with.
Right.
Straight up, but you know, he did the impossible.
Yeah, I got knowledge of self when I was incarcerated back in 1997, because I started like looking at the Bible. I was raised Jehovah's Witness, you know, from a strict Jehovah's Witness parent, and then I started like reading the Bible, and I was reading the Bible. I was like, this doesn't make any sense. A lot of things didn't make sense, and then the other brothers were talking to me, and I met another God, Supreme Understanding, and then he was just dropping it on me about who the white man is, who the black man is, our differences, our cultures. Gave me the lessons.
This was in Nawa?
This was in Nawa, yeah. Green Correction, back in 1997, 98, I believe. Yeah. And one of the greatest things, my greatest achievement, I felt was like learning the lessons at that time, you know, being able to cap 120 lessons. It was like, wow, you know, like my brain could actually do that, and I could learn these words, you know, and knew what these words mean.
I'll tell you something wild, you know, really it's not such a big thing to learn it, you know, as far as, okay, you can quote something,
right.
Especially when you're young.
Right.
Repeat this. If you peep people born in particularly after the new millennium, and in the last, say, 10 years, maybe, keep the babies. Their cognitive skills are different.
Yeah.
Like they're being distracted, and the distraction is right in front of our face. Where learning something like 120 and being able to recite it, it wouldn't be as easy.
Because they're so used to microwave things, and now with, you know, ChatGPT and all these things, it's going to be even worse, because really people are not going to be able to use critical thinking. They're just going to take what they got from the computer and see it as fact. And you already see it now. Like, I already see it now where people are taking things off ChatGPT like actual fact. A lot of these new age theory, you know, a lot of these fluffs, and, you know, people talking about emerald tablets and all type of things that's just dragons and all type of stuff that they're getting from, you know, Lyrians and things that are non-practical, God.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
That's not going to help you put food on the table, nor elevate you,
I
nor
won't
make
go
you
too
healthy.
deep into it, but a lot of that is what I call an actual lie,
Mm,
meaning that the whole UFO thing, the whole thing. I've been studying this since I was something from last century,
Right.
for real, last century, last quarter, and I paid attention as a child to things that people my age wasn't paying attention to.
right.
You know what I mean? To the point now where not only do I see the lie, I see the purpose of the lie, I see what they're gonna do, because that's an option. So you see in this new bio-digital convergence here, you'll see it's gonna be a lot of spooky shit. If you don't know the science,
If you don't know the science.
the people are gonna go they're gonna go for it. And remember, even people, like I said, they'll believe what's in front of their two eyes, right?
Right.
You could craft through light and sound and create an image, mind you. There's more to the picture that people don't see. Now the proof of that, because I'm not even trying to be all spooky about it.
Right.
Like you and I is building right now, you recording or it's live or whatever.
Yeah.
The signal, you don't see the signal leaving the phone, being bounced from a tower and then going through a wire underground. You don't see that, but that's actual energy that's moving now. So when you start talking about the electromagnetic spectrum, we're not talking about no bullshit, because there are industries behind it. These are billion-dollar industries. You know what I'm saying? This technology is woven through basically everything: cars,
Everything.
phones, medical equipment, inside of people.
Yeah.
Come on now, it's like
Smart homes.
Yeah. Right now, this shit is probably like 100 years in advance of what the average person knows, and this is not theory, not conspiracy theory, none of that. These are actual
fact.
Yes, industries and practices that are affecting the human families. That's everybody.
Mm-hmm.
That's everybody. So while these laws are getting passed, people are paying attention to the entertainment, the trials and all this bullshit. Fake World War III.
Right.
And all the world wars were fake. Not that people didn't die. They said what you thought people were
fighting for.
That's
right.
not what was going
At
on.
all.
And people who want to talk, and they can speak more eloquently than I.
Likewise.
But I guarantee you,
right.
you did not study that. You didn't look at it, and those are people who do not understand culture.
Right.
When I say understand culture, if you know how people are, it's not a question of would they do this, that, and the third. It's do they have the ability to do that? And that's where now you got to start studying certain things. Now you got to start reading PDFs, learning about whatever science it is. Because now when you say a bio-digital convergence, that's all sciences. That's medical. That's biology. That's architecture. That's agriculture.
Right.
Telecommunications. All that.
And they already started it during the scamdemic.
Oh,
you know what I'm saying? With putting the nanotech.
That part was obvious. But
right.
if you go into this technology is 70 years old.
And
it's way deeper than what people think. Like I said, I implore people to look into these things themselves.
Right.
You know what I mean? You can Google nanotech. See, one thing about the nanotech that it kind of throws people off, when they talk about putting nanotech in bodies, yes, there's nanotech in bodies, but you have to understand synthetic biology. More so, because people just think of this like robots, metal moving in your body. It's not just that. You have technology that can alter your DNA in the cells to produce proteins that the body wasn't scripted to write. So now it's almost like using your body as a factory to create nanotechnology. Now, mind you, we already have different aggregates in the body, such as microplastics, the heavy metals that are in the atmosphere. You know what I'm saying? So when these things are in the body, it pulls from different elements as well as your own body to create different life forms. My bullshit, and you look up wireless tissue engineering, wireless tissue engineering. Look up organ on a chip.
Okay.
It's a whole bunch of acronyms and terms that people might not be used to. But when you start looking into it and you start realizing it's real, it's not theory. You understand what I'm saying? It's not. See, you know, it's damn near like learning a whole different language. Mind you, I was taught the science of everything in life here.
Right.
So as I grew up, I got into other things. But, you know, I'm speaking in reference to something that it affects all the human families of the planet Earth. And that's what I was taught to do, was teach civilization to all the human families. So if a person asks me, like something, anything that's going on in my mind that might relate to you, yeah, that's one of the things that's probably going to come up to you. So it sounds like a conspiracy theorist, but this is something that we all deal equally in, whether you dealt with experimental medicine a couple of years ago or not. We all dealt with it, even if you didn't
directly take it.
We all dealt with it.
Right.
So now
because it's in the foods and everything's now.
Everybody gets it.
Yeah.
Ain't nobody
exempt.
Getting away with it. So I stood for my rights. Get the fuck out. All right, you don't stand for your rights.
Yeah.
Right?
I think the way we have to combat those things is with herbs. You know.
Yeah.
Chlorea, spirulina, those things that bind heavy metals. Take constant, flushes, charcoal flushes, things like that from time to time.
Also,
so we kind of reprogram the body from those things. Because like you said, it's escapable. This thing's turn DNA to RNA and send out new messages, like you said, new proteins in the body and recreate the body, because that is by design.
One thing that I'm learning, or actually relearning, because I don't know if it was you said this earlier when we was building, or somebody was just talking about my aura, and it sounds spooky, but the more I look into it, it answers a lot of questions. As far as if humans had an organ that you could really pull some shit off with, but you didn't even know you had it. Only a couple of people knew they had it. They're not going to tell everybody that.
Right.
In fact, they'll do anything they could to hide it. And so, we teach that the devil teaches, he keeps people blind to themselves so that he can master them. You understand what I'm saying? So if a teacher is to you want to bring out education, is bringing out the best potential in a person, right? So I could see something almost like a producer in somebody, like, oh, you got a quality of skill, but you got to teach them how to use it, whatever it is,
Right.
It's music, it's
whatever your skill set is,
like
right?
What we were dealing with earlier,
Right.
So the thing is, that's very true. When you look, here's another term to look up: electronic warfare. It's not what people think it is. It's not what people think it is.
Electronic warfare.
Because the body is electric.
Yes. The electromagnetic field. Yeah, I'm big on that. Like you said, they say the aura. Yeah. I call it just what the scientists call it, the electromagnetic field. Same thing.
Chakras. If you look at the body it's I call it original technology. You know what I'm saying?
Technology, natural intelligence. NI, that's what I call it.
Right.
Yeah.
I call it original intelligence, but basically we're saying the same thing. Yeah. That's the paradigm I'm moving from. Because people have the capability. We're quantum computers. You look into it, and you find out, like, oh, wait a second. This is why they're trying to merge the machines with the people, almost to basically like take away the people's power. Because the people, this is what they always use. What parasites do. If you want to understand the nature of this war for thousands of years, it's always been about a parasite. You know what I'm saying? The parasite is allowed to affect humanity, but humanity isn't really aware of its own self. You know what I'm saying? So we got to go through trials and steps to, basically, we're rising. Most of us are mentally dead. You know what I'm saying? So the people who are halfway alive, they half-ass, they'll want to keep everybody else blind so that they can eat them.
Yeah.
They can literally eat you. I'm not talking metaphorically. Oh, she's toxic. She took my energy.
No.
Oh, she sucked you till you was dead.
Dead. Yeah. I've been there.
And you came back from.
Right.
If there's a chance for the.
There is a chance. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Or dead, dead.
Resurrection.
Right.
Yeah.
It's about being able to tap into the whole infinite energy source. Like the source code, we're dealing with the origin, not the artificial.
Yeah, it's funny because before I even circled here, that was the main premise of my conversation. Tapping into the soul, basically. Learning that the soul is really the source. You know what I'm saying?
Now people have different parts, so people have different
wording.
Different words.
Right.
I deal with the language of intent. My name, like I said, my name's C.I. Golf for 31 years, so I see what a person is saying. Sometimes I won't always get too caught up
Right.
in the language. We can deal with that. We'll deal
Yeah,
with that later.
that don't matter. Yeah.
But people, humans deal with equality with each other. We gotta
Right.
be aware of that. 'Cause the problem is, people like on our side, like I'm a large 5%. There are other 5%.
Yes.
People who fall in that category, Muslim sons, civilized people.
Mm-hmm.
Peace.
Peace, King. Just want to see you add on. That's all.
Peace.
Peace.
But with us, we don't really we keep to ourselves. We build with people, but we don't really come together as much because I'm doing my own thing, and we respect that with other people.
Right.
Whereas the half-ass people that know the 10%, they know, oh look, our time is limited. We got to get together right now. I'm hungry. I'm starving for blood. We got to do this right now. They don't even trust each other, but they know that their time is limited, so they'll move differently. Whereas we deal with the source subconsciously or even below that, we know that we don't have no beginning and end.
Right.
We're here to enjoy life. That's the root. People might not agree with me, but that's the root of colored people time.
Yeah, you are
What they
timeless.
call colored people
Timeless.
time, or Negro time,
Timeless.
whatever.
That's what I was saying earlier. I don't tell people my age because I always say, when they ask me, I always say I'm timeless. I have no beginning or end.
That's a fact.
So why am I gonna celebrate this age thing? It doesn't matter. I'm timeless.
I do. I do,
but we all different. You know what I'm saying? And that's like we were saying earlier. That's our unique pathways. Like we could converge on what we align with. For instance, there's lions, tigers in the jungle. They do their thing, same by the watering hole. They have different viewpoints, obviously, than the elephants and the rhinos, but they still by the same watering hole.
The way they clash, they clash, but it's a civilization.
It's a civilization.
Like the four nations go to war, they sit down and they talk.
Diplomacy, yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean. So, but basically, all that to say, like
Please go.
Oh.
Hey.
Like pardon me, I lose track of what I said.
No. We were talking about equality and building and differences
as far as
and
different groups
alignment.
coming together. There's a time where it would seem like everybody's going to be on the same page, like a certain way, and we're coming there.
Right.
But like I said, about understanding culture, the people who tell the truth aren't so quick to get down with anything or whatever. We learn, but we more so, you know what I mean? Like, if you find your tribe, then you find yourself, you stick with it. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, I've been here years, months, and days, but really, I've been here long enough to know I've been here a blink of an eye. It's like no time at all.
Right.
No time at all. Really. But the 85, the majority, they're the people that's like, they're lost in time. They don't really have no concept of time.
They have no concept, right?
And and no disrespect to Christians. I ask them, yo, Jackson, and usually black girls, you ask them like, yo, how long ago did Jesus live? He's like, they'd be like, yo, that was like hundreds of thousands of years ago. I was like, yeah,
right.
I said, what's today's date? You know, then we go through these simple things that people take on face value. And then you realize, well, okay, what calendar are you talking about? When somebody asks you today's date, you know what I'm saying? What calendar are you talking about? You know what I'm saying? Different cultures went by different calendars. We have multiple calendars that are used simultaneously on the planet right now.
Right.
But like, what type of time are you on?
Right.
I deal equally, but I'm not trying to be stuck in caught in time. There's a time when you'll see me, oh, he's over there, whatever, peace and building with people, I'm being seen and heard. But I'm not, the goal is to not be stuck in time. The people that's stuck in time, they're going to go for the okie doke, whatever they're going to be pulling in the next couple of hours or next couple of days or next couple of whatever, they're going to go for.
When you say stuck in time, like, what do you mean, like, like a solid foundation for something? Like, what do you mean stuck? I kind of have an idea of what you're saying, but what do you mean?
A person that's stuck in time will always deal with the duality of life or how they feel, and they'll see things they don't really see things. They feel things, but they can't process what's going on. So like what's a good example? Well, like you ever went to school with somebody and y'all had ideas, I was going to do this, that, and the third, but you went about things one way, and as time went on, you saw
They stuck.
Right, their patterns, they kept on a certain level.
Mm-hmm.
They stuck.
They never changed. They
Right.
never evolved.
Right, you see them years ago today. Oh, yo, peace, yo, what about we going to like?
Yeah, I got it now. Yeah, my uncle used to call them trees. My Uncle Ray, rest in peace, used to call them trees without branches. They never spread out. They never leave.
Ray was a wise
Uncle Ray
man.
was a wise man. Yeah, shout out to rest in peace, Uncle Ray. Yeah,
Word.
he called me. He said a lot of people out here, son. He was like one of my idols. He said a lot of people. He taught me how to save. He was always save your money, because you never know. And he was always like, don't follow people.
Nope.
And he said, I don't care how smart they are, don't follow them. And when I was younger, I didn't understand it, but now that I do, 100%.
Some people, you notice, you'll resonate with, and some you resonate more with others, but it's not following. It's still fun.
Please do that.
You got trap on. Oh, nah. But maybe see if somebody got one. I know they may have one. If my have one.
Hit?
Nah,
Tell me somebody's hit right
oh, nah.
I ain't gonna take up too much more of your time.
What I was saying?
You were saying,
See,
stuck in time.
I
You
be
talking about?
multi-dimensional, man.
Yeah, we gods, we time travelers, man. We God is the time traveler. But I was telling you about my Uncle Ray.
Yes, and following people
Yeah.
versus agreeing.
Right.
The 5% for real, we agree. We have some who better knowers than others, some who are better speakers than others.
Yeah.
You know, we all have, but we ain't followers.
Right.
You know, and how this universe was created by the original man, we agree. There was a time we all agreed, but nobody was following. It just so happened. And a lot of us at one time was like, I'm going my own way, man. Forget this.
Right.
And I just made up my mind, and I looked at, oh snap! I seen my brother from over here. I was just arguing with doing the same thing, and him doing the same. And then a couple of them came over, and this is how we all started, because we all were on the same page. It's when the wave, it's not phasing out. It's everything locked. Everything is synchronized.
Right.
There's a time for that. We also know there's a time when it's like, yo, I do my thing, you do yours. We connected, but you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We're not so. The 10%, they sell this illusion of inclusion,
Unity,
and
equality.
Yeah, and they're the most.
But it's a fake
right.
right.
They stab. They
like
calling,
in corporate America, you know, I did a lot of my travels through corporate America, and they always, all the jobs that, you know, one of the things when they bring you in, they always like talking about it's a family, but they'll clip you without a second notice. They'll lay you off without giving you any type of heads up or anything like that.
That's so ill.
You know what I'm saying? But they call you family.
It's was made to separate families, especially with the whole industrial revolution. We're now that's what they did with the last industrial revolution. You know, they moved people from the rural areas, so you don't have to be with your family no more. You don't have to deal with all that bullshit. You come here and get your own shit.
Yeah.
You don't got to live out in the country all dirty and the flies. You can live in a box.
Right.
You can live in a box right here next to somebody else in a box, and y'all all got the same dreams. And we're going to make sure we hang in front of your face. But the way this is designed, you're not going to get it. So that was already established. That's why at the end of the last century, you see where we're at the beginning of the fourth industrial revolution. You have boys and girls that don't know what the fuck they are.
Right.
And not only that, you have adults who will push them to be like, yeah, Johnny, your name is Jane. You know, next year we're gonna cut your top off. Right? You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Spend money for it.
Yes.
And
Little kids
normalize
at that. Yeah.
It normalizes. And you're like, what the fuck is going on?
Right.
And you know,
parents, based on their own trauma, putting their children through those type of surgeries and all that.
And the thing is, nobody likes to admit that they've been played. It was designed that way.
Yes.
It was designed
it's a plan.
That way. You could read books. You know, it's just a book. Okay, well, this book was written 100 years before this event happened, and it explains everything right before, and you still thinking like, oh, that's cognitive dissonance. People have been broken down so much that they go for shit that we wouldn't have went for before.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I know on some bully shit, the population's been softened up. Now they're flexing and doing certain things. They show you what time it is.
Yeah.
So we're gonna do this. We're gonna get away with it.
And we don't care. Yeah.
You know, that's why, you know, you can't expect. You have to know the law. You have to know goes, Black's law, going to how deep it goes.
Sovereignty and all that.
But
Yeah.
keep in mind, I always tell people this. That's one of the cards in the deck, which I'm no expert on, but I know enough to be like, okay, that's relevant.
But I'm aware of it. Yeah, that's relevant. Right.
However, the guy could always say at the end of the day, be like, I don't give a fuck.
Right.
Right. I'm gonna keep killing you like I've been killing you.
Yeah.
And it's low key. People don't even know who the people who's really behind it because they want to think it's these people over. I know you're on what you call it, so I'm not going to say the name, but everybody knows who I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Everybody knows who I'm talking about.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They say it's them.
Talk about Agent Orange, right?
Oh no, well him and the people who they say he's under, he really works for.
Okay, yeah.
All that with the three Abrahamic religions, Judaism, Christianity,
right.
and Islam.
Mm-hmm.
Because people swear that we're Muslims, we're not Muslims.
No, not at all.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Islam, we deal with Islam as mathematics. Before it was taken from anybody else in the world, and they tried to profit off it like all religions do. That's not what we deal with. It's just that, people get their words from places throughout time, throughout history. So like I say, you stay in tune with the root. You know where the words come from, and you know that there are different people who used it at different times. But we're not Muslim. Those three institutions are done.
Yeah.
Because the people who say that.
Hey, gentlemen.
Peace, brother.
Peace.
Magnificent, G. I'm not talking about good Jews, good Muslims, good Christians. No, I'm talking about the bosses.
The bosses, yeah.
And their bosses and bosses who know that we're not any of that. We're not any of that. We don't talk about the DNA, about this, that. We're not into that. We don't practice that. We're anti that.
Yeah. All of those Abrahamic religions have a mystic. I was saying this in one of my other videos. Have a mystic they have a hidden quote unquote occult side to them. All three of them. Yeah.
And people, the followers, don't want to acknowledge that because if you're gonna tell me I was wrong.
Right.
Oh, you're saying I'm stupid.
Right.
I'm not saying you're stupid. I'm saying that you a fool. And there's a time to, when the truth is revealed, you have a choice to make.
You have a choice.
All.
Right.
That's all. I mean.
Yeah. It doesn't mean anybody's stupid. We all on the hero's journey, trying to learn as we step on this journey.
Right.
And you sometimes you step wrong, sometimes you step right. But the goal is, if you're sincere, you're always. What I've noticed in my journey is that you're always going to realign, no matter what you go through. If you're sincere about your journey, if your journey is really to become one with our God, you know what I'm saying? That's what Jamaicans would say, be one with the I and I. You're always going to realign to your journey.
How you describe? You said one. They say one with our God.
Yeah, one with our God or one with the I and I. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. That's a Caribbean saying for sure. Yeah, with the Rastas and all that. Yeah.
Listen, you already know the truth was all over the world.
Yeah. I saw split into 14 pieces. The Kemetic theology, of him being thrown. That's all mythology.
Up and all that.
Yeah, of it been being cut up in 14 pieces and spread across the world, and then you have to realign those pieces through studying. That's why, I tell people, don't just study one system. You know what I'm saying? Study systems that you align with. Learn the system. Learn what it means for you, and then continue moving on. You know what I'm saying? Right. Yeah, study Christianity, study Islam, study Judaism, study all of them. You know what I'm saying? Because there's something in there for everybody. Like, there's truth. If there wasn't not truth, people would not align with it. People would not follow it. So there is truth, but then there's the trick knowledge. Then there's the lies that's underneath it. And you have to know, you know what I'm saying? Like, if you're going to study Islam, study Sufism too, because that's the real Islam. You know what I'm saying? If you're going to study Christianity, study Gnosticism too. Like, don't just limit yourself to the front side. Go to the back side. You know what I'm saying? Because the back of the the dark side of the moon is where the real shit is. You know what I'm saying?
Nah, it's too much.
Right.
Too much. I don't want.
Too much heavy lifting. And that's okay, because I was telling my daughter, because she was like, why is people like this? I'm like, people come to the planet for their own thing. And that's something I constantly have to read, because, sometimes you get frustrated of how others act. But everybody's here on the planet for their own purpose and their own walk. Some people are here to show you what it looks like if you don't rise up in your purpose. Some people are here to show you what it looks like if you do live in your purpose. Some people are just here just to be background noise, to give you some money. You know what I'm saying? Some people are here to give you some money, give you housing, give you what you need, and then you get what you need and move on. That's really their purpose. And I remember I was talking to a sister, and she was like, I feel like my purpose is to resurrect men and put them back on their path. And at the time, I didn't really understand, right? I didn't understand that science. But when I look back, you know what I'm saying? And I look back and I look at her her trajectory, she's fucking right. You know what I'm saying? She's a resurrector, That's what she defined as her purpose. That's what she was there to do. You know?
Well, I mean,
And do I
they're
think
all
that's her whole
healers.
purpose? No. But I do think that's part of her. If that's what she defines as her purpose based on her experience, who am I to tell her no? You know what I'm saying?
Well, you know, like if the 16th degree to 1 of 40, speaking of who's the 5%, right?
hmm
But in there, it's like the thing that we teach is freedom, justice, and equality, right? So, like you said, like some people they might not do what you would like for them, the quality that you see, the potential that
Yes.
they have, like they don't want to.
They don't
or
want
maybe
to.
it's not their time.
Right.
One thing I learned the older I get, as you know, living this culture, is how to respect people's choices. And I don't know hippie shit, because listen, I know tricks too. I'm my father's youngest son. You know, my physical father. So I say I would get what I want, but I know how to do that.
Right.
The first thing is I got to deal with self.
Yes.
I know how to, because you know, you get what you ask for, and
Yes.
you're like, yeah, now what?
Right.
I already know the sign, so who would I pull my brain?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I learned to let people be them, but show an example.
hmm
Be honest with with my victories and losses.
Right.
And like help guide people. Some people you could guide closer. Some people you could just keep them around as examples of what not to do. When other people come around like, yo, come check this out, you saw that?
Yeah.
Yo, word, yo, something they never saw before. Everybody serves a purpose.
hmm
Even people we don't like, our enemies. The devil himself serves a purpose. Because shit, if they wasn't here, motherfuckers is arrogant. We wouldn't know that that's the potential for that always exists in oneself. That's why I had to be like this. People don't know what's in it. Now I'm going through the same thing again with the whole AI thing. Please, we're going through the same thing. They're saying, okay, same thing. Oh, AI is this, AI is that. It comes from inside.
Please.
Get it to you. I saw you was recording the piece of my.
No, it's cool. It's cool.
Peace, yeah, blah, blah.
I met you. Remember, I'm the one that did the documentary, dog. Case on the
Right.
I was like, I'm next.
Peace,
Peace,
right.
dog. What are you doing out there? I see. So,
Yeah. So,
this way? He was telling me the gate is closed. To get in to the gate outside the yard.
Yeah.
Pardon us.
No, peace. Yeah, so, you see the bill, how it's going. I'm going to keep you. I know you want to get back to the brothers. I just want to ask you one last question. So when I first came home, I was locked up back in, I told you, 1996. I came home 2001, and I came home with a bundle of knowledge of self. But I was scared to come in. I was intimidated. Right?
In 2000?
Yeah, I was intimidated. I don't know why, but I walked by here several times. I was like, should I walk in? It's like, nah, it might grill me or something like that, right? So what would you say to someone who is coming, let's say, coming from out of town or coming, from prison, or somebody who just has knowledge of self from some place around the world, because the gods are everywhere, that just tell them to come in, walk in?
Well, I mean, everybody gets examined. I mean, you're gonna get treated as you come.
Okay.
And sometimes be like, hey, everything's cool. Sometimes be like, yo, why they act like that? Like,
right.
Sometimes people see your hand, especially. Look, here's a trick. I'm gonna tell you a trick.
Because I was filming and I saw you come out. I'm like, okay, you checking my square. See if they pop up my square. What type of square I'm on?
Look, I walked up, I seen you at, so I was like,
Yeah.
But boom. Our main purpose is to teach the youth, right? Peace. We teach the youth. That's the bottom line. If you are, adult or even people like in our age, you can still get knowledge of self. It's possible, but it's highly unlikely.
It's highly unlikely. Yeah.
Because
I can see
when we're
that.
dealing with systems, when we're dealing with the original system of self-knowledge and expression like mathematically, the earlier you get it, the better. Because it's difficult to tell a person who's an adult certain things. If you didn't, like, sometimes we'll come at each other in certain currents that you got grown folks who nobody comes at them like that. They don't mess with their family like that anymore for whatever reason. We, we still get down. We get in your face, they beat, but I'm like, yo, we're peace. We're family.
Yeah.
We're family. This nation is a family. Now, it depends how you got the knowledge of who you know. Because some people they're not gonna be into. They say that's the first thing. You got people as soon as they touch ground, before they come here, and I'll be like, oh God, you know, you should go, go see this here people.
Get your ID and everything. Get your ID and
I had to
everything.
come like, okay, or they came from wherever, you know. It's all about you.
Right.
Really, it's all about you. So
not to sound esoteric, but your vibration is what's going to align you with the nation.
Each one of us, scientific. Each one of us is a vibration.
Yeah.
We all vibration. Vibration is movement. Sound and light, and all things that exist are vibrations.
Fact.
And everything deals with frequency. Everything is mathematics. That mathematics is Islam. Islam is mathematics. You know what I'm saying? I'm not, no disrespect to Muslims, but this is not a religion.
No,
you know
I self-law the master.
Before Prophet Muhammad did all these, dealt with the sciences he dealt with, it was the thing is Islam. You know what I mean? It's you know, hey.
True story.
But you know, I'll let you go.
Yeah.
You know,
my brother. It's been a pleasure. What's your name again?
C.I. God.
C.I. God. What? Rob Blackstorm. That's on the channel. I'm gonna put it up tonight. R.A. Blackstorm.
I've heard you.
For real?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think so. Cause like I said, sometimes the brothers just being like, I be in my own shit sometimes.
Yeah.
I know people who do what they you know, the vlogs, musicians, whatever, and I can barely keep up with them because I'll be so into what I'm doing, and then out the blue, my grandkids come, they start fucking shit up.
Life be life, and as they say.
Yeah, but it's good to
connect and one thing I enjoyed about building with you is that I noticed you don't have, like, you know, a lot of times you deal with brothers, you deal with ego. Like they trying to one up each other with knowledge. That wasn't this type of conversation. So I truly appreciate it because I really don't be on that. You know what I'm saying?
Exchanging information, and when brothers come with that energy, it's like, look, I'm not in competition.
Yeah, I'm not trying to brain fight.
Like,
you know what I'm saying?
That's
intellectual.
Weird. That's weird to me. That's like, and no disrespect to Shy because he bringing through information.
Right.
But when these guys get on, they got the Soul Sonic Force costumes and they start battling. Like I'm expecting to see like Thunderbolts and shit. Like I've seen it a couple of times, but I'm not into that.
I'm not into that.
I was not even entertaining it, and me personally, I always look at it like, damn, man, they making fun of us.
That's how I look at it too.
I look at it, they making fun of us because I mean, sometimes we build it look like we be arguing, but we go through, and even then, 9 times out of 10, listen, I mean, look.
Yeah.
Hold up, let me
do your thing, Ken.
Yeah,
I'm gonna keep it moving.
I'm gonna subscribe to the channel. G.
Okay. Yeah, I just started kind of ramping it up and getting back into it. I've been fasting a lot lately. Just going through my own cipher culture, making sure I regenerate. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's 2025. It's a 9-year, but it's also my personal numerology 9-year. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot going down with me. But yeah. But like,
heads up,
and I'm gonna tell you something. Coincidences, not to, I know how the gods deal. Not to sound spooky, but coincidences to me are confirmation. On the train, I met another god who came here, who was on the train, and he just saw me. He just started building like immediately, and he was like, "Yeah, I was born in 1969, God." He's like, "Yeah, I see you. I recognize you." So the cipher back and run into you when I didn't plan on meeting anybody. I was just gonna film it and keep it pushing, but so. Alignment.
I'm like, I seen, but
you saw with your intuitive eye, your third eye.
Have you ever heard of the wireless body area network?
No, I haven't.
Look into that, and I'll just sum it up like this: that's the artificial overlay. That's the parasite over what we always had.
Okay.
When we talk about the aura and all that, that's why everything was like circumtuitous today.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You was in tune with a certain reality. Everybody who was in tune with a certain reality, and we needed to see each other with nodes on a network. But this is the natural network.
This is the natural network.
Yeah, this is not the one that they've grafted into humanity right now.
Right.
Trying to take what we naturally do. Don't let them know that anybody who they need to know, they're only six people on the planet away from. Don't let them know that all the resources is right in front of their face.
Mm-hmm.
No, let us just use it for cyber security, for national security, so we can tap people's information and shit like that, and they don't even know.
Yeah.
But what
R.A.
Mm-hmm.
BLACK Storm.
That will see. That's kind of like dumb question, but sometimes, you know what I'm saying, people be spelling shit all
Not a
crazy
dumb.
now.
There's no question. It's a dumb question. Only
No.
question is one that's not asked.
Hold on, why are you telling me? Why are you showing me like
It's not
actual
showing you.
storms and shit?
R.A. Oh, no, put it so separate the Ra and the Black Storm put together. That's what it is. Yeah, that's me. A lot of metaphysics. You know, I deal with, you know, occult sciences too, but
Okay.
I'm practical with it. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, I'll be doing something on July 4th tonight, later on this evening.
All right, Black, I'm gonna check you.
Peace to the God.
Peace, Lord.
Yeah. That was a nice build. And yeah, and everything I'm saying about what really happened during this, and let me go to the sightseeing part. But everything I'm really saying about this, there's no such thing as coincidence. Like everything is confirmation. And you know, as we move through this world, you know, you'll align with people that are on your frequency. But in order for them to recognize you and for you to recognize them, like you see how you just popped out, right? I didn't go in there. I didn't plan on meeting him. I didn't plan on having a deep cipher discussion, you know. And it's two men, then we're just having a conversation, and none of us are trying to one up each other, and that's called peace, right? Positive energy, right? Peace, you know. And positive energy always corrects errors. Peace. Positive energy always corrects errors. So we're going through this transformative time. We're dealing with we're going through this transformative time where we're dealing with, you know, this Trump bill, wars everywhere, things are changing, and we're changing. We're going through a DNA upgrade with all these solar flares and DNA transfer and a DNA change. And things like this, which you just saw, it's going to happen more often. There's going to be more and more serendipitous effects. There's going to be more and more soldiers in the quote-unquote army of the Lord, right? And we're not talking about the armies of Jesus or anything like that. But we're talking about the divine spark, that divine flame, that dark flame, right? Peace, God. That divine flame that exists within us. And nurturing that flame, it takes work. It's like any other flame in existence. You got to put coals on it. You got to put wood on it, right? And the wood is that earth element. And that earth element is the actual work, right? It's the actual work. Peace, bro. It's the actual work that, you know, chopping wood, right? There's a saying which talks about chopping wood, right? As far as, I think I heard Kyrie say something like that, you know? And we got to chop our wood. And we got to work on these traumas. And we got to use these solar rays to really face who we truly are. You know, I was watching the Marvel show Lionheart. And I believe it's episode 5. You know, she had to go back to where her best friend and her family member was shot. And she had to relive that trauma because the reason she made Ironheart is basically a Marvel character who created an iron suit. But the reason she created the iron suit was so that nothing like that ever happens again. But she had to learn that her healing was the real suit. Her healing was the real protection. Her facing her traumas, right? And then when she did that, she was able to be at peace and upgrade the suit. So as I was saying, to start this, I don't want to go too long. The goal is peace. The goal is peace. You know, positive peace, positive energy activates cosmic energy. Positive energy activates cosmic energy. And you can't get peace by watching the news. You won't get peace by reading books. You won't get peace by listening to your favorite YouTuber. You won't get peace by climbing up mountains. You won't get peace by going to retreats. You won't get peace by going to the spa. You won't get peace by taking vacation. Those are circumstances that help engineer peace. But we've all seen people on the beach acting crazy. We've all seen people in peaceful spots going off and turning up, right? Shit, you see that on these damn reality shows where these people are in the finest restaurants and they're not at peace. They're going crazy. That's the Magic Johnson Theater right here. All right. But, you know, the goal is to be at peace, ultimately. And the more you start to focus on yourself, not on celebrity, not on the wars, not on gossip, not on trauma, not on what your neighbors and your friends are doing and not doing, but really focus on you and what you're here to do and healing you and transforming you and coming into a space of self-knowledge. I mean, ultimate self-knowledge, where you know your pros and cons, you know what you're strong at, you know what you're weak at, and you accept that. And you're not trying to be anybody else but yourself. But in order to be yourself, you gotta find yourself. And a lot of people out here are not trying to find themselves. They're trying to find the bag. But guess what? Even if once you find the bag, we know some of the wickedest people in the world got the biggest bags. In fact, they don't even have bags. They got trailers, right? They got trailer loads of cash. And they some of the wickedest people here on planet Earth. So as we go on this hero journey, and you know, this is serendipitous, because I'm probably gonna see that brother again in the mix, and who knows what circumstance we may be under, and I might need his support, or he might need my support. And because we have this one build, right, and he remembers me, you know, if I'm in a certain situation, I remember him if I'm in a certain situation, and we could stand up for each other based on this interaction that we have. And that's what it's really about, moving forward. It's about aligning with people of like mind. That's what aligning with people with like character. But it's really about doing the work so that we can align with ourselves. Not with a system, not with a teacher, not with conspiracy theories. There's a lot of people out here that claim to be occultists and mystics, but they don't do no damn magic. Like, how you an occultist? Oh man, this is my seafood spot. It's closed today. But that's all right, we're gonna go to another one. But yeah, a lot of people claim to be occultists and mystics. I'll walk a little bit more, do some more Harlem sightseeing. But they claim to be these things, but they not really like. Let me show y'all this Harriet Tubman statue, and then we're gonna log off. But they claiming to be mystics, they claiming to be occultists, and in real time, they don't even do magic. Like, their altar's only lit when they want something. They treat their altar like an ATM, not as a way to connect with the ancestors, not with a way to connect and heal things and transform things in their lives. They looking at it as a way to make money, or the way to hurt somebody that looks like them. You know what I'm saying? Or the way to combat their trauma that they can't handle physically. And that's not what having an altar is about. That's not what having a sacred space is about. It's not just, now of course, yeah, we need money, yeah, we need love, yeah, we want to protect ourselves, yeah, there's nothing wrong with using defensive magic, you know, if that's the last resort. And you need to touch somebody wirelessly, right? You need to touch somebody non-physically. You need to touch somebody from your inner cellular network, right? But the goal is to connect with your ancestral tribe that exists in your bloodline and your DNA. And once you do that, then serendipitous things happen. Start to align with people. Start to connect with things, right? Abundance starts to happen. See, even myself, when I started getting into mysticism, the journey for me was I started like, okay, let me see if I can manifest some money, right? And I did, right? My money spell worked. I started manifesting money. Started manifesting tangible things. But the money also started leaving, right? The money also started leaving. As quick as it came, easy come, easy go, right? So so manifesting the money wasn't the problem, right? The manifesting the money, as the guy was saying, was mathematics. It was an equation. It was a 1 + 1 = 2. You know, to learn what to do, get the bay leaf, you know, get the ruler, and plus, right? I ain't gonna get into it because I've given y'all enough money spells, I think, that if you go back in the archives for you to do what you need to do, right? But the goal is not to get the money. The goal is to become abundant. The goal is to have an abundant mindset. The goal is to have a mantra in your head that you're always abundant, no matter what happens. Are you going to feel, if you're in a certain situation, that something's going to happen, or that, you know, that you may not make it out of it? Yeah, of course. That's natural. Like, we have a central nervous system. You know what I'm saying? We do have cortisol that goes through our bodies. Cortisol is not negative, right? Cortisol is actually what wakes you up in the morning, right? But cortisol is also a hormone that if you're constantly under stress, if you're constantly under duress, if you're constantly in fight or flight mode, if you're constantly in worry mode, which is the program, which is the design of the people who think they run this matrix, right? Or who create a matrix or a womb to give birth to an artificial human who is not in control of their self, their mind, their emotions, their bodies, but is always subjugated to some outside force controlling them, whether it be fear, whether it be the government, whether it be people at work, whether it be people at the job, right? No source of independent thought, independent mind, independent thinking. And damn, where's the statue? Hold on. Ain't no real scenery here. No type of independent thought, no type of independent thinking, none of that. And we have to get to a point to where we are thinking for ourselves. We are critical thinkers, right? We don't just take information on face value, no matter what that is, right? We pull out our phones, we research it, right? And we double check it. If you're using ChatGPT, you want to tell ChatGPT, no new age sources, triple verify, and remember, if you're using an upgraded model, I don't know, always some people aren't using the upgraded model. If you are using an upgraded model, $20 model that you pay for, you know what I'm saying? If you use a ChatGPT every day like that, for certain things, you want to tell it to use factual sources so that you can get facts. But you want to double check that, right? You can't just blindly trust in anything. I catch AI in lies all the time. But that's because I've read a lot. I've studied a lot, right? I put in a lot of work. And I'm not ashamed of saying that, right? Because this journey is not easy. Coming from the fool, ignorant, head up in the air, not knowing anything, just having knowledge of one book, right? Which is 9 times out of 10, the Bible, the Quran, or some sort of Judaism. Oh, here's Harry. And that's a statue. Harry, tell me. Nobody's there. I think I'm gonna sit there for a little bit. We'll close this off soon because I am hungry. This is my time to eat. I've been on a very strict diet with myself, but I noticed I was starting to get tired a lot once I started hitting the gym again. So I needed to eat more. So now I was eating one a day like the Nation of Islam, but now I eat twice a day. So sometime around noon, big meal, right? And then around now, like between 3 and 7. But I say all that to say this. Actually, let me show y'all the front as we stand where Harriet was, right? Faces of the ancestors. You know what I'm saying? Somebody gave our offering. They're gonna be blessed. Normally I would have something, but I didn't plan on coming here. But when I go to like these little spots where ancestors are, I try to leave an offering myself to recognize, and acknowledge them, and I see them. So it's something you could do too, right? To reconnect with your heritage, reconnect with your lineage, reconnect with your true bloodline. This American system is over. This system where, the Caucasians and, Caucasian males, and where they were in power, this is their last stand. That's why it's so bad right now. That's why there's so many wars. That's why there's so much happening. That's why there's so much fear being pumped. That's why, every day it seems like there's something different and something worse happening, because it has to be dark before the light comes. You know what I'm saying? You got to go through the womb of darkness before you come out into the light of birth as a baby. So we're in a rebirthing process, right? We're in the 9th year. And, the video I did earlier, I do long 4-hour videos, but the video I did earlier in the year, I predicted that Trump and Elon would separate because of their egos, right? And lo and behold, what happened? Trump and Elon separated because of their egos. So coming into, what's happening now is, like, I'm looking at a lot of Caucasian, and the Spirit's like leading me to watch a lot of Caucasian content where they're doing readings and, doing divination and things like that, tarot cards. And, a lot of them are like saying that they're feeling what we felt. Now that's a heavy statement to a Caucasian person to say that they're feeling what melanated people went through, right? The hubris is kind of wild, but they're feeling, to them, right, from them being in these strongholds of power, to them this is hell, all right? Especially with this bill being passed, like, there's a lot more of Caucasian people here in America that's on Medicaid. There's a lot more Caucasian people here in America that's on food stamps, welfare. There's a lot of more people that are Caucasian that's on Section 8. Now the media plays like that's not the case, but that's the truth, right? We are not the people that's, the whole welfare thing was created by Ronald Reagan to paint black people in this corner, that we were the people on welfare and that we are the people that are, abusing welfare benefits and things like that. That was all gained by Ronald Reagan to get votes, right? And the whole Dixiecrat ideology that he was continuing and that he was imbibed with. But if you look at the way Reagan went out, right, he was basically a tool that they used, right? Ronald Reagan was an actor. We don't want to go into Reaganomics, right? But acknowledge your ancestors, you know what I'm saying? Acknowledge before you, like, you know what I'm saying? Like what's on the bottom here, right? Acknowledge your ancestry. You understand? Acknowledge your ancestry. And acknowledge your family, like family. And family doesn't necessarily have to be blood. Family doesn't necessarily have to be blood. Like, you got millions of family in your DNA. Like, all these faces, family. You get what I'm saying? You got great granduncles who are super scientists, who were super mystics, who were, welders and builders of civilizations, and some like that, right? Right? We all have those people in our families. But the goal is not to like, when you reach a certain age, man, you got to create your own family. You can't rely, if your blood family wasn't there, then it's your job to create your own family. But if people don't want to be around you, if you are, a person that is reprehensible, if you're a person with no moral code or conviction, you can't trust a person around your spouse. You can't trust that person around your wallet. You can't be trusted around anything of value. then why would someone want to align with you? This may be, or you're a gossiper, right? You're telling everybody's business. You are not involved in your own life. You're a person hypercritical of others, right? You don't have a sense of humor, right? You don't have a sense of joy. You come outside, even though it's a nice day, you're miserable, right? How are you going to create a family? And this is where the work comes in. Not shadow work, but self-love work, right? Not shadow work, but self-love work. And fixing and acknowledging and becoming a time traveler and going to those, again, the show Ironheart and Iron Man too, right? Iron Man, I believe it's in the first Avengers, and I talked about this before, where Iron Man had to heal from the trauma of his father leaving him, and he created a program to go back in the past, right? I forget which movie that it was, but if you know, put it in the comments. But he had to go back in the past, and he created he was at MIT in this particular scene, and he had to go back in his past to confront the childhood trauma of his father so that he could heal, right? This is the time right now, this particular Cancer season, where you want to work on, and you're going to be forced, whether you want to or not. This July, there's 4 retrogrades in the sky, right? There's 4 retrogrades. There's 4 deep transits, right? I'm not an astrologer, but I do talk about astrology, right? And I know enough to be aware of the movements of the cosmos and the cosmology, and to acknowledge it as our ancestors did, because they always moved with the stars. And even if you look at like Trump, like passing the bill, right now we're in a serious gateway from which, again, I'm gonna talk about this at length tonight. So expect another long video where we do a deep dive into July 4th, Statue of Liberty, Sirius, and all the above, right? And a little spell that I saw happening on Wall Street, right? So we're gonna do a deep dive on that. Because I am doing this video, I may not do it tonight, but I may still. So, but subscribe, look out for that. But coming into like understanding who and what you are, it's really about coming to a space of wanting to know all about you, wanting to know all about your brain, wanting to know all about your body, wanting to know all about the food that works best for you, wanting to know all about your blood type, right? Wanting to know all about your numerology, wanting to know all about your birth chart, wanting to know all about your science, like who you are, the lucky day, the day you were born, right? The time you were born, things like that. What gives you power, right? What type of things bring you energy? Like music brings me energy. I like watching basketball. Basketball brings me good energy. I like concerts, they bring me good energy. I like art. Going to art galleries, that brings me good energy. I like fashion, that brings me good energy, right? So what brings you good energy? That's the key to really understanding yourself and managing these ups and downs and these cycles that we're about to go through. Because this year is, as you see, things are ramping up, and we're in solar cycle 25. So the more the sun is impacting the planet, the more these solar flares are popping out, the more these CMEs, coronal mass ejections, are popping out, right? It's awakening different parts of our DNA, and if you're not aware, you're going to be looking for pure escapism through sex, drugs, entertainment, gossip, celebrity, and all that. Why do you think Puffy's still in jail through this weekend? So that people could talk about it. So that people could talk about it through the whole weekend, all the way up until Sunday or Monday, so that you're distracted with Puffy. Again, why do you think Trump passed the bill on the 3rd, right before the 4th, right? Because he's not only tapped into the Sirius gateway, but it's also to keep you talking about the bill throughout the whole holiday weekend. So again, you're not using the Sirius gateway. This gateway is from the 2nd to the 7th. So this is time where you could grow and evolve if you so choose to. This is a time where you could tap into your indigenous science if you so choose to. This is a time where you could heal, right? Cancer. Feminine energy. Cancer is the highest of the divine feminine energy, right? The highest of the high, right? The crab, aka the scarab. But it's all about family. It's about bloodlines, right? It's about home. It's about healing. right? And it's about healing those things that connect with that. And once you're doing that work, right, and really focusing on what that work is and getting back to your work, because again, you have to remember, and there's a book, Brian L. Weiss, right? There's also another guy, forget his name. I could see him. Damn. If I remember, I'll try to put it in the video. But um, but anyway, Dr. Brian L. Weiss, they talk about, healing and going into, like I always say, God is the time traveler, man. You don't have to be, if something happened in your past that doesn't, what you really remember about the traumas that happened in your past is how it made you feel. That's what's stored in your brain's hippocampus. What's stored in your brain's hippocampus, they say, is the memory, but it's really the emotion, right? Because the hippocampus is closer to the limbic system, which is the emotional part of the brain, right? But your prefrontal cortex, the foremost part of your brain, right? The limbic system is like right here. Prefrontal cortex, right? Your third eye and all that's located is right there. Also the amygdala. It's really concerned with how you take in information, your critical thinking capacity, your reason, right? Your logic, your discernment, right? The masculine part of you, right? The feminine part of you is the emotions, right? The feeling, how it made you feel, And having both is you being at balance, right? Understanding that both are necessary. Some people are overly emotional and not logical enough. Some people are overly logical, like let's say an Elon Musk, right? Who's just, into science and tech, but obviously he has no real compassion for people, right? You see what these tech gurus are doing, but these guys are highly intelligent, right? These guys aren't fools, they're smart people. So coming into the gnosis, or the knowledge itself, is about you becoming what you're here to be and you tapping into your purpose. So check me out. I'll talk to y'all soon. Turn your notifications off. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button if this resonates. And it's been a pleasure. I wish you all the best. And don't embrace fear. Don't embrace fear this weekend, right? Whatever's going to happen is going to happen. Your job is to be at a high vibration when it does. Your job is to come out every day knowing that you are one with the divine. Not feeling it, not knowing it intellectually, but knowing it from the heart. Like having that written in your heart. And that takes work, that takes practice, that takes time. But now you have time to accelerate it, right? The universe is like, okay, this is the season for you to accelerate your healing. But are you going to face it, right? Are you going to, you're a certain way, or are you going to, as the brother said, have cognitive dissonance? It's really up to you, all right? So y'all seen what happened. Y'all see what's going on in the world. And I'm not saying don't, stay ready so you don't have to get ready. I always talk about, do you have, you'll have, there's people who have all these worries about wars and this and that, but you don't have no backup generator in your house, right? You don't have no backup power generator in your house. You don't have no solar generator for nothing, right? You don't have water stashed. You don't have canned goods stashed, right? And even if you have all that, again, if a bomb drops on your house when you're sleeping, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? Right? You can have all that. I have a lot of this stuff, but at the end of the day, a bomb could drop on the house when I'm sleeping. Spirit forbid, right? That's not what I'm wishing on me or anyone. But it could happen. So it's like, all right, if I die, I die, right? My goal is to go through what the Egyptians call the duat, and for my heart to be as light as a feather, because I'm not tethered to these things of the world. Watch Avatar: The Last Airbender. There's clips here on YouTube where he goes through the 7 chakras, and to open up the crown chakra, right? That crown chakra is non-attachment. You got to be in the world, like the Christ said, or the mythology of Jesus said. You have to be in the world, but not of the world. You got to be in the world, but not of the world. All right? And with that being said, peace, power, and prosperity to you. I love y'all. Thank you for watching. And more offerings coming soon. Finally got my computer right. So we're going to be doing a lot more lives. Oh, and the black dot is going to be coming soon. I got to create the thumbnail tonight, but the black dot He will be coming to the channel. We will be having an interview this Sunday at 7 p.m. Eastern. So look out for that also. All right. Peace, power, and prosperity. Black Dot from Urban X, right? He got a new book out, and I'm very excited about this interview because Black Dot is to me, and based on me meeting him and having exchanges with him, right? I consider Black Dot just like I consider that brother that we just built with. You know what I'm saying? No heavy ego, only egos in mastering, self-mastery, and living as a god here on earth. And I love dealing with brothers like that. All right? We ain't trying to intellectually outbox each other. You know what I'm saying? We just sharing ideas and sharing knowledge and learning from each other, which is beautiful. So I consider Black Dot a noble as well. All right? So with that said again, peace, power, and prosperity. Rob Black Storm. One love. Take care.